is video 3. And as I said, black women aren't to see themselves as beautiful. Okay? We're supposed to want to make ourselves over in the image of who? Huh? Of who? The stick figured? You know, no ass, no lips, no breast. No, of the commercial market's image of beauty, right? We're supposed to look like, you know, our daughters, right? We're not to be the queen. We're to look like the prince. Like the prince, you know, that came from a frog. No, that don't look, we're not to look like a woman, right? We're not to represent what a woman was created to reflect, okay? We're to see ourselves as ugly, okay? Okay? Now, that's why, you know, black women, you got to represent the throne. If we're the queen, you got to represent the throne, okay? You got to represent the throne. You know, reflect your beauty. Reflect the beauty that you are. Reflect the divinity that you are. Okay? Reflect the divinity that you are. And then no man is supposed to marry. It's supposed to be embarrassing to be married to a black woman. You don't want to be seen with her. You don't want to be seen with a black woman. Right? Despite all the hardships our mothers and grandmothers went through. To even nurse from our breast the plantation's children, right? The plantation owners' children, right? Okay. So black women are called in folklore. Okay. No, what do we say? Yeah, black women are called in the folklore that so aptly identifies one's status in society. As I said, the mules of the world, because. And it's like, look at her hair, right? Which is her crown. But she wasn't to know that. She was only to be, you know, like, to be seen as, you know, having been saved from the savage Africa, right? And her nappy hair is just, you know, something that's just disgusting. Okay, it's not even to be perceived as a beauty, despite its uniqueness represents her crown, right? Okay, now, so we said she's to be seen as the mule of the world because we have been hindered, we've been handed the burdens of everyone else's, right? Cleaning the house, like many of our ancestors cleaning the house, the low-end jobs, right? The very minimum, low-paying jobs, right? And okay, we've been handed the burdens everyone else refuses to carry. Cleaning the house, babysitting children, you know, doing just the kind of like in India, the what they call in the caste system, the untouchables, right? Doing the dirty jobs, right? Okay, always physical labor, right? Right. Now, and with low exposure, and then if they're to be seen in the media, they gotta have something, as it was in the past, you know, and still a great percentage of today, they gotta be seen as unattractive, fat, or undesirable, right? And many today, and I'm gonna be goddamn honest, okay? And many today, you don't see much in the media today when you see a black woman. Okay, well, you don't see it. When you see a black man, they generally put him with a white woman. That has to be stated. They generally put him with a white woman, as if the black woman don't even exist anymore. Not even the black man wants her ass, right? Not even he's to want her ass, right? Well, I'm gonna tell you something, black man. I'm gonna tell you something. That's done to fuck up your DNA. Okay, to fuck up the DNA. I'm going to tell you, for humanity, it's done so humanity will fuck up its DNA, because like I told you in the last video, you know, we're all one nation, yes. Okay, we all from African mother, okay, and daddy. We're all one race. But as humanity as a body ages, okay, its hue becomes less and less and less. The further we go from the root Okay? Let's say the weaker the nourishment is, right? So in order to maintain the hue, got to stay closer to the root, right? Because the top of the tree is weaker, right? So as a body of humanity, the further we go from dark to lighter hue, lesser hue, right? That demonstrates the age of humanity. So the less hue the person has, the individual has, the older they are on the, let's say the spectrum of humanity. Okay, on the age of the spectrum for human, they represent the spectrum of humanity that reflects the age of humanity. Okay, so it would be advantageous to come to the root to have longevity for your descendants, right? So if they constantly project, black men and all other men with white women, okay, then basically what they're doing, they are basically fast forwarding the aging process of all humanity, okay, because they're taking you out of your youthful state of being, okay, and they're decreasing the longevity of humanity as a whole. Whereas if those on the furthest end of the oldest spectrum of humanity return to the root, then again they would give their descendants longevity. And those alien blue bloods, of course, they don't want humanity to they want to decrease the longevity of humanity. So play that game, make you think, having no hue is the best thing in the world, when it's not. Okay? And being married to a black woman is the worst thing in the world, when it's not. Okay? So in the media these days, you see a lot of, black men who deny themselves the pleasure of longevity, okay? Who deny their descendants the pleasure of longevity. And if that's what they want to do, alhamdulillah, do it by all means, But just know the value of what you're giving up. And that goes for the full range of the full spectrum of humanity. Know what you're giving up when you get further from your root, okay? When you deny yourself, your roots, okay? Access to longevity, okay? And another thing, you can't be a king without a queen. You can't be a king of kings without a queen. You can't be a king of kings without a queen. There can be no king of kings without a queen. Just like the queen bee. Okay? There can be no queen bee. And I'm talking about as in the species, the insects, queen bees. There can be no queen bee without the drones. Okay? Yeah. Okay? No, there can be no, I'm going to go there. There can be no beehive without the queen. There can be no beehive without the queen. Okay? Now, many of the the other bees, the worker bees, there's a difference between the worker bees and the queen bee. The queen bee is developed has the physical ability to lay the eggs, okay, and to mate, whereas the worker bees do not. They're female, but they do not have the ability to lay the eggs and mate, okay? Only the queen can do that. That's what I'm saying. You can have no nation without the queen of queens, and she has to always be black. So we need, if we age out our humanity, and we don't return to our roots, then we just basically place ourselves in extinction. Okay? Because we can have no humanity as a nation, as a race of beings without the Queen of Queens. And she has to be black. Okay? Because she, you know, maintains the longevity, as with the King of Kings, maintains the longevity of the human race. If we all max out to white, we max out our own species. Okay? Now it's gonna happen, of course. The human race is going to age, and we're gonna have different degrees of, you know, hue on the spectrum. Okay, on the no, we're gonna have different degrees of aging on the spectrum of humanity. Okay, but when we see the spectrum changing, dividing, that's when we got to go back to our roots. Okay, so we can have longevity for our descendants, because it's not just about us, those who humanity that is of the here and now. It's about, you know, our children, our tomorrow's generations. All right. So all this bullshit about, you know, the black woman. You don't want to be with the black woman. You don't want to be with the root. You don't want to be at the root. You don't want to be with a black woman. She ugly. She mean. She this. She that. She this. She's too strong. You goddamn right. She got to be strong. Just like the queen bee got to be strong. Okay? She got a hive to take care of. She got a hive to repopulate. She got thousands of eggs to lay. She got work to do. You know? So, you know, don't let the commercial world fool you. It's just trying to lead you into extinction. So the human race, the human one race will not have, our descendants won't have longevity. You need to go back to your roots and stop that bullshit about the black woman being ugly, and stop believing the media that, you know, every black man got to be with a white woman. And I know that's not the case, because there's many black men out there who don't, you know, who don't, you know, yield to that game, who don't yield to the media's portrayal of black women, or the media's, you know, the media's, what do you call it? The media's, you know, how the media tries to convey to the world that, you know, not even a black man wants a black woman, because look at all in the media, all of the, you know, everywhere you go, it's the black man with a white woman, you know, and even in the commercials now, when they bring up the families, you know, they show a family, they show a black man and a white woman and bicultural children, you know, or let's go by cultural, children who are of different degrees, who reflect the two perspectives or two dimensions of the spectrum of humanity as it reflects aging, right? Of the age of humanity. They show two dimensions of they reflect the two dimensions of the spectrum of humanity as it reflects its aging process. Okay, I hope I said that correctly. Okay, but and they want to totally cancel out the black woman. You know, so that's why this video for me is very, very important, because I am, you know, I'm that is also a false portrayal of me. You know, how I'm to be perceived, how I'm to be, you know, yeah, how I'm to be perceived and responded to, and for me, it's like, you know, it has to be addressed that false portrayal has to be addressed. Okay? That false portrayal of the black woman's image, of what she represents, has to be, as the mule of the world, has to be addressed. That has to be rebutted. Okay? That cannot stand. It cannot be tolerated. Black women are not the mules of the world. They're totally the opposite. No woman is the mule of the earth, of the world. No woman is, regardless of her, her position on the spectrum of humanity, as it reflects the age of the total age of humanity as a race. Okay? So that has to be rebutted. And you know what? The commercial world wants to project that. They want to promote that. That's what I'm saying. They want to promote it. They want to promote that image of a black woman is still to be seen as the mule of the world. And not only that, but like the Drumpf tried to say about black people in general, African people in general, they're lazy and all this kind of stuff. They want to project her as she's lazy, she's loud. Yeah, goddamn straight, she loud. Shit, she got a nation to take care of. Stay under her feet, right? Okay. She is the mother of the world. Masri El Madunya, right? That's me. Masri El Madunya. Represent Masri El Madunya, the mother of the world, the mother of humanity. Masri is Egypt. Masri is Kemet. Kemet is the mother of the world. The black woman is the mother of the world, not the mule of the world, not to carry everybody's burden. Okay? But this mother mule of the world is also reflective of women in general being the mule of the world. Couldn't drive, if something happened, couldn't take care of her own children, in the past, if the woman left the house, she couldn't take the children, regardless if, the circumstance she was abused or not, she was very oppressed, had no rights, So, the women have always been the mules of the world, but black women in general are worse, while women have been oppressed, as I said, and and mothers as well, are taken for granted, right? So black women are seen as the mules of the world and taken for granted as well, right? But to a greater degree, right? To where not by like a woman and just in her family, no, by society, okay? In the family, in the family, women have had women generally in the past, they didn't have rights, right? In the past, women didn't have rights. And as, time progressed and they were able to acquire certain rights, being human rights being recognized, black women, still were held in a position where they were recognized, as the mules of the world and continued to be abused. Right? Whereas white women, other women, were, as mothers in the past, they were abused and, their human rights violated, and they progressed in society, whereby they were able to have greater privileges. They always had greater privileges than black women. And while I'm not complaining about them having their human rights recognized as they should be recognized, what I'm speaking of is the fact that black women are still perceived as the mule of the world, despite Phyllis Wheatley, who was told she was saved from savagery in Africa. Black women are seen as the mule of the world, despite, you know, they are the mothers of the world. They are Masri El Madunya, right? Okay, that's what I'm trying to say, okay? And that's what I'm rebutting, you know, and that's why it's so important for me to read this writing by Alice Walker, okay? Because I want to rebut that black women are, and especially now, we're going to go to video 3, I think, yeah. Yeah, video 3. Salam alaikum.